Hello, everybody. Welcome so much to session 3 of our AI webinar series, where we're talking about reinventing IT operations with AI, where you can reduce downtime, cut costs, and boost performance. To speak to us about this today, we have Abhishek Malik, who is our VP of Technology Services here at CEI. And throughout the session, if you have any questions, we have a Q&A module within Teams where you can actually type your question. And then at the end of the webinar, when we get to the Q&A portion, we'll be sure to ask your question to Abhishek and get your questions answered. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Abhishek, and he's going to walk you through CEI PRISM and what it can do for your organization to improve operations. So Abhishek, over to you.
Thanks, Kyle. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining. My name is Abhishek, and I've spent last 25 years running global application and infrastructure managed services for enterprise clients across different domains like retail, BFSI, healthcare, manufacturing, and few others. Now, over the years, I've seen there are three major shifts in this area. It started with traditional outsourcing, majorly focused on how we reduce cost by doing correct positioning of resources. And it is still a very manual process, very reactive process to support everything. The next phase is a phase which we have seen even last year, which is a typical managed services, proactive monitoring, standardized process, which brought efficiency, but still very much constrained by humans, human response time, and reactive on that nature. Now, standing today, the biggest of all is CI native managed services. And why it is so? Through automation, through AI ops, through GenAI, fundamentally, it rewrites how the operations runs today. It is 10x positive shift than typical traditional managed services used to be. And that's where the magic is. And that's what is exactly what I'm going to talk about in today's session. CI Managed Services team brings 25 years experience in this space in the AMS and IMS area. Now we are enhanced with cutting edge AI capabilities, which let us do more with our PRISM as a platform, which I will talk about in future slides. Now let's start with few of the examples how we are helping our clients with PRISM with AI native operations to increase productivity. First one is one of our retail client. So they have a pattern. They have a pattern that every Black Friday, they have an application memory leak, which caused a save one. And what is the impact? Impact is every year, same issue, different root cause analysis, same outcome. Revenue loss, stress, and war room. This is what happening every year. Now, last year, what we did is we applied a AI native ops layer, which is specifically integrating observability signals, tracing logs, tracing different matrices, ServiceNow ticket history, and runbook automation. So combination of all of these things, what's typically happening is this AI layer is able to correlate different signals, different logs, and able to perform some auto healing operation if at all needed, even before that particular issue occurs. So exactly same thing happened around 2:30 a.m. in the morning. AI detected a deviation in the heap usage, correlated it with a known historical pattern, and triggered a safe pre-approved automation remediation. What is that remediation? It is clearing up memory and restart certain services. Now, what is the outcome? Outcome is there is no war room, there is no impact. Business team didn't even know that there was an incident, and there is no revenue loss, which is the biggest item here. Now, it doesn't mean that, okay, we ignored the issue completely. The issue got logged in the ITSM system, but there is no impact on the business. Now, client asked that, okay, what your team do differently this year? So our comment was that, okay, we didn't wait for the failure to happen. AI removed the root cause before it became an incident. So this is what we call specifically preemptive operation. One of the perfect example how AI is helping and how we are bringing that to our client. Let's go to another example, which is and one of another retail client who are spending most of their AMS time on triaging, not development. L2, L3 engineers spending 60% of their time on repetitive troubleshooting, figuring out what is happening, why it is happening, root cause analysis, and very less time they have spending on innovation or enhancement. Now, what we did here is we bring in our GenAI L2 assistant, which helps in different elements. One is automated RCA summarization. RCA become very easy. Then code intelligence to predict change risk, and then ticket clustering, which gives them space to not to spend time on triage and also get the resolution automated through our GenAI assistant. What is the result? Result is they used to get more than 1,000 tickets every month. Out of that, more than 250, 260 tickets got auto-resolved every month. And because they are getting assistance from this AI layer, they are able to turn it around much quicker way. That means 38% reduction in the MTTR, which is mean time to resolve. And because of all these things, definitely their bandwidth got increased significantly, which is where there is a 40% increase in the release velocity. So they are able to spend more time on solving actual innovation problems. So again, what customers said is we have talked DevOps for years. This is the first time ops actually stopped slowing down development. This is one of the key example which we call GenAI augmented AMS. You get more engineering hours back without having extra people in your team. Now let's talk about another example, which is I think common for all of you guys, which is cloud cost. As we are getting into more complex system, more AI-enabled systems, definitely our cloud infrastructure become more complex every day. One of our client, one of our healthcare client, who has more than 400 VMs running, all are at 20 to 30% utilization. Over provision storage, unused snapshots, no FinOps insight into ITSM workflow. So this is the situation. So what we did here, again, we bring in our AI layer, which is able to correlate different elements: resource utilization, ticket pattern, business calendar, deployment history, cost anomalies. All these things together, it was able to recommend what is the right sizing levels, what is the off-peak scaling, containerization candidates, auto shutdown for non-production workloads. And what happens within 60 days? Because of all these remediations got implemented on the system, there is around 22% cloud cost reduction, which is around more than 1 million yearly cloud cost reduction for that particular client, and with zero impact on performance and SLO and SLA. So that's the impact of AI, which is bringing. So that's why what we say right now, FinOps is no longer a spreadsheet activity. It is an AI-driven operational practice. Now, from all these three examples, it is very evident that AI native operations has become very normal thing in today's world. It is no more optional. Now, let's spend few minutes on if we don't do it. Without AI, what are the challenges AMS and IMS have? Definitely, we are not able to do complex root cause analysis because that requires a lot of correlation, which is almost impossible for human to do quickly. Predicting outages, I spoke about in our first example that, okay, it is very difficult to correlate different signals together and predict outages based on the data analytics. Because of the advent of applied ML, it has become very easy in today's world. Managing alert noise, ops team are typically overwhelmed with thousands of false alerts. And in turn, they miss the critical alerts, critical events. This is again another area where correlation of different alerts through AI ops engines make it easy to find out what is real, what is not real. Repetitive ticket resolution. Again, this is a typical auto healing problem, which in today's world, AI and automation are able to solve it with auto remediation, auto healing scripts and programs. Cloud cost control, one of the typical example, which was a nightmare earlier based on the Excel, FinOps and everything. Now it has become pretty easy because AI enabled us to correlate things very easily. Another key element, which is knowledge lookup. This used to be a very manual exercise where every engineer needs to go to SharePoint and other knowledge base to figure out what is going wrong. It is complete manual process. Now, because of the advent of GenAI and natural language processing, this has become easier, and engineers get the results very quickly to solve the customer problem, reducing MTTR, and definitely change risk assessment. So when any changes are happening, we're doing any changes, manually estimating potential risk is always a difficult thing and error prone thing. And that's another area where AI helps a lot. Now, this brings one of the key questions here, that why it is now, why it was not earlier. So across various clients, what we have observed is 70 to 80% of incidents are predictable, repeatable, and preventable when we combine AI of correlation, GenAI pattern recognition, automation runbooks with SRE methods. Now there is an obvious question. What client is asking, why didn't you do this 10 years ago? Because AI also is there for last 10 years, automation was there for last 15 years. The thing is, why it is why it is applicable today, because of the availability of high quality telemetry data, which is real time data, mature ITSM platforms which has integrated AI, data to train AI operational models. We have a lot of data, and definitely computational power to train and compute. So these are the important things why this is real today. And GenAI that understand logs, config, runbooks, and codes, obviously. So the timing for AI-enabled managed services couldn't be better. This is the correct time when you have everything. And that is where we are bringing Prism as a platform, which brings all of these things together for you to implement on your operations to make it more efficient. So let me introduce Prism, which is a AI native IT operations platform. What are the inputs it gets is the customer data, connections, and the access to the system. And it gives complete spectrum of services across managed services landscape, starting from discovery, where I typically deploy AI ML algorithm to analyze data to figure out what is possible, what is not possible from the automation perspective, design the transition accordingly to make it more efficient, stabilize the system as we get in, application of AI and stabilize the system, and then bring in observability from the health perspective, security perspective, finance perspective, whatever is applicable for your environment, and definitely a continuous optimization, which brings the automation and the agent library, which where we already have last mile configurable agents ready to go. Now, all these things together, Prism brings a single pane of glass where you get end-to-end visibility, process-driven efficiency, CEI tools, all the tools come together here, and which is completely backed by ITSM best practices. Now, when we say this, one of the important things what Prism brings in is the governance and compliance, and this is really important. Why I will take a small example. So we implemented an automation agent in a Dynamics platform for an operation, which replaces few of the job roles there. Now, what happened is that time when this is the starting point of this operation, we bring in the agent, it was working perfectly fine technologically, but it's become an unknown employee in the system because we didn't put focus on the change management. And change management is something which is not only technology, it is end-to-end spectrum. Now this become very important, and this is one of the core component of Prism, which brings governance and compliance, so that when you implement something, it is becoming applicable across the board and cover all the change management procedure required. Now let's deep dive more into Prism. That what is the engagement model Prism has? It starts from discovery, where we get all the metrics, ticket data, ticket volume, MTTR patterns, current tools, key pain points on your IT operation. And then what we run is called feasibility scan. What is feasibility scan? Is feasibility scan is where we analyze these data through AI, and historical data and identify automation opportunities, predictable incident patterns, and high impact use cases. So that's the first phase where we figure out all these things. And client often see hundreds of hidden patterns during this stage when we do these correlations. And then there is a phase, proof of value, which is where AI runs in an observation only mode, which is where we show the expected deflection, MTTR reduction, preventable incidents, and cost optimization. And this is something which is completely non-invasive. It is more on an observability mode. And once you are comfortable with these ROIs, then we go into complete full-fledged launch of full AI native managed services deployment and continuous optimization phase. So what are the different components Prism brings in to do all these things? We have L1, L2, L3 AI agents to handle routine and complex incidents autonomously. GenAI assistant, that is to augment support engineers, which I spoke about in one of the example, to do instant RCS and the recommendation of the solutions. Running predictive and preventive operations that stops problem before they even start, to like the first example of Black Friday. And then what we talk about XLAs, which is an experience level agreement rather than just measuring the uptime. That okay, how business is getting impacted, like connecting IT KPIs to business KPIs. And it helps to drive the continuous automation roadmap, which is really important. That quarterly automation roadmap, giving a complete picture what to do next and where to go next. And all these things led by SLA-led delivery. Now, what our clients are seeing value out of these implementation wherever we are implementing Prism, there's a significant effort and cost reduction because of the continuous automation, which is in a range of 20 to 30%. MTTR decrease, which is faster resolution of incidents, which is around 25 to 40%. Ticket deflection, which is issue prevented or auto resolve even before it comes in picture, which is 15 to 25%. And then cloud savings, obviously, which we spoke about in one of the example, which is 10 to 20% optimized resource utilization. So this is not a future roadmap. These are real outcomes which we are delivering today. Now, what is exciting? Exciting part is we are now building AIOps agents that read logs like human, interpret architecture diagrams, recommend code fixes, write remediation runbooks. None of these were possible earlier without the advent of this applied AI and GenAI. And one of the key element is natural language operation. Now the engineers asking questions like, why is my API slow? Or what caused my latency spike at 3 a.m.? Earlier, we used to do the debugging, going through logs and figuring out what is happening. Now, these GenAI engines, end user engineers can ask these questions and they get comprehensive actionable answers instantly, which they can act upon. And definitely, when all these things are happening, the self-healing systems become very easy to operate. And these are all pre-approved systems which get into play whenever we see certain patterns going wrong. So what it is doing is the boundary between support and engineering is disappearing. So ops become predictive, engineering become assisted, and outage become rare exception here. So that's exactly what is happening on the ground, and that's exactly what we are bringing in with the use of Prism on the ground with our clients. So if today's stories resonate with you, so let's take the next step. What we offer is a free 1 week AIOps discovery assessment, where what we do is analyze your recent incident history and other related data. And then what we deliver is incident history analysis, qualified ROI projections, custom AI rollout roadmap, and risk assessment of this entire system. And what we have typically seen is a 500K to 2 million annual savings opportunity comes out of this kind of assessment. It is a typically roadmap. And with the implementation timeline to start with is 60 to 90 days to start with. And then as you scale, get into the large scale operation. So this is the future of IT operation, which is a complete AI native. And this is where we are heading into, and we already started doing this transformation with our clients. So let's work together to build an AI native operation model that is faster, safer, and more cost effective than anything we have seen in last 20 years. Thank you for joining and thank you for your time. So now I'll open it up for questions, if any.
Thank you, Abhishek. Really appreciate you talking through that and the value that it can provide to organizations. So folks, we are in the Q&A portion of the webinar. Any questions that you have, please enter them in the Q&A module within your Teams webinar interface, and then we will be sure to answer those questions as they come in. So Abhishek, first question for you. How does PRISM determine when to self-heal an issue versus escalate it to a human support, and how do you maintain reliability in that model?
Thanks, Kyle. This is a great question. So, see, self-healing is always a pre-approved process. That means, as I spoke about pattern analysis, correct? So, this predefined patterns tells that, okay, this self-healing agent would be applicable for this particular pattern. And if that pattern, exactly that pattern happens, then only that particular self-healing agents execute. And these are all pre-approved systems. So, if that's not the pattern, if it is any nearby pattern, no, then that goes to a human in a loop. What we call typically human in a loop is you send for verification to a human so that you don't do any error on the production. And once human approves, then it get executed again. So that's where the difference is. That's how we bring in reliability. If there is an exact match, there is a direct execution. If there is a 1% variation also, it goes to a human for verification and then comes back to the execution.
Thank you. Next question. If we rely heavily on ticket-based workflows, what would the transition to predictive and autonomous operations look like?
See, it is always a tickets-based workflow. Tickets will come in, but what is happening, what is changing here is even before ticket comes in, these AI systems are able to catch the signals, what can go wrong in future. That's the prediction. And that's the predictive analytics, which is helping us to do this predictive maintenance. And even before ticket comes in, even before somebody realizes that okay, something going wrong, it get resolved. So what is the difference? Earlier, there used to be an event, and then somebody used to react to that event. Now we don't have that event even. It get resolved even before the event occurs and system get notified. That's what is happening.
Thank you. Another question. How well does PRISM scale across complex environments with multiple platforms, and what integration effort should we expect on our side?
So Prism is a technology agnostic platform, correct? So it is typically works across the technology, and typically when you comes to an AMS or IMS platform, you will find all different kind of technologies, be it Dynamics, be it .NET, be it C++, everything you have it, or even integration. So it doesn't matter what technology you have. It is more about the AI layer. It is more about availability of data points. For example, for this knowledge based search to happen properly, you need to have the knowledge base documented. That's the key. So if you don't have the knowledge base documented, it is really difficult for AI to even do the training. So those are the important things. Those are the integration points where we need to focus on, but it is completely technology agnostic and completely scalable solution.
Thank you. And then last question, unless we get any more that come in, and I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what kind of cost savings or efficiency gains have you typically seen when clients move to an AI-driven managed service model?
So typically, as I spoke about, the range is between 25 to 30%. In some places, it is more if they haven't done anything. In some places, it is less if they have started doing something. So, but the range varies between 25 to 30%.
Great. Thank you. Abhishek, those are all the questions that have come in for now. Folks, if you think of any questions afterwards on this next slide, as you can see, if you have any further questions or if you're interested in that assessment, complimentary assessment that Abhishek had mentioned, you can reach out to me directly. I'm the director of marketing here at CEI. You can see my contact information there, kbrand@ceiamerica.com. You can reach out to me directly. You can go to our website and fill out a request consultation form. Or if you have direct contact with one of your CEI representatives, you, of course, can reach out to them as well. We want to be available to you to answer any questions you have and help you understand how PRISM can help you. But since there's nothing else, Abhishek, really appreciate your time today. And folks, really appreciate you dialing in as part of our webinar series. Hope you all have a fantastic day and really appreciate you all for joining. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Kyle, and thank you everyone.